So,
Patrick.
Jeremy, do you want yours?
Yes. Can I ask a question quick?
No, of course. Go ahead.
How are we doing parliamentary procedure? Are we raising hands? Are we just?
This one's not parliamentary. This is literally just, hey, who wants it? This is more.
No, I'm saying for the whole meeting. Like, how are we doing in order?
Oh, you mean for the rest of the meeting? What are we doing next? So we're doing
like normally.
How far I can push Patrick before he just mutes me?
That's every meeting, Mike.
If we go to a debate, how are we determining who talks first? I know last meeting we did the raise hands feature.
Raise hands is fine. I'll just ignore Mike, and it'll be great.
Then yes, I'm happy with my cluster. But if someone else wants it, I'm not emotionally committed to it.
Speaking of which, I'm going to make the gallery view larger so I can see all of you at the same time. Okay, so Jeremy, you're willing to give your cluster to the group as a potential. So I'm just going to. I don't think how the best way to do this is. Does anyone want selectmen, finance committee, reserve fund, town council, town clerk? Is it burning up anyone's list?
The only input I would give is that it was given to me as a good thing for my first year, so it might be a good fit for Christina, but if she has no interest, then I'm happy to take it again.
I'm willing to go where I'm needed. If you think that's the best for a first year, I look forward to accepting your advice. This
isn't brain surgery. Like this is pretty standard stuff. So it's totally it's a decent one because it's smaller budgetary pieces. But it also isn't. None of these are all that dramatic except for really, DPW has a lot of moving pieces. School is probably the big one, and then police and fire are probably the biggest ticket items. And I assume people aren't going to. Jamie, you're not jumping off yours, I assume.
I would like to stay with mine, and my recommendation, just given that Jeremy, the length of time of your tenure, it might be a good idea to kind of stay for continuity's sake, and with that cluster.
Perfect. That works for me.
All right, so we'll keep cluster one as Jeremy. Who had accountant, collector, treasurer, assessor? Is that you, Davis?
That was me 2 years ago, but this year I had recreation, etc.
Which one's that one? Oh, right. Cluster 6. Right?
Yes, 6. Yep.
This one. Okay. All right, something in there. So I don't remember which one was Roberta's, and John's not here. I know Tim is this one. John's not here. Roberta is no longer on the committee. I feel like she was this one, but it doesn't matter.
I could be wrong, Patrick. I think that one was John because that was my old one, and so I think when I bumped off to the new one, I basically said, this one's pretty easy if you want to take that one.
So I don't know what the hell I'm talking about is what it comes down to. Okay, so we'll assume this was John's then for purposes of here. Does anyone want to swap and get these three, or Christina, do you want these three?
I'll take them. That's fine.
All right. Davis, do you want to give a snapshot of exactly what's entailed in these departments? This one's pretty straightforward, but just if you have an insight.
Yeah, sure. So the accountant, the collector, treasurer, and the assessors, all three departments are very similar in that, 90% of their budget is basically just payroll expenses. It's basically just the staff, and then there's some minor, supporting expenditure here and there for equipment, for training, for travel, for stuff like that. So it's good. It's one of the less high maintenance ones. You'll mostly just be discussing with them any individual items that might run.
Okay. Sounds good.
Jamie, you wanted to keep yours. Jen, you're keeping DPW? I don't know if you nodded or no.
I'm happy to keep it. It's been great. In the same vein, if it's an area where someone on the committee would like to learn more about how the DPW works and what basically what the department does and how it maps into our budget, I'd be willing to do a swap. But again, it's been a very pleasant cluster, so I'm happy to keep it.
Okay.
But I also want to offer it as an option if someone is dying to learn more.
Mike, is this you? Are you solid waste and data and everything? Yep. Okay. So this is Mike. Does anyone interested in DPW and wants to make their case? Am I just doing this uselessly and everyone wants to stay where they are? Is that what we're getting? Alrighty then. So
Hey, Patrick, it's Jamie. I think the one thing you already touched on was Tim. The school is a big one, and,
Yeah.
and you know more. But last conversation I had with him was he was getting a little burned out. And maybe that's not the case now. Did he give you the?
He said it. He said he's willing to give it up if someone else wants to take it. But he also said it in the context of it is a big one. So it's something that probably someone that hasn't been on one of the bigger ticket items might want to jump on. But so that's where I was thinking, opening it back up to, Davis, if you wanted to jump, Jen, if you want to swap from one of the bigger ones to another big one, like there's opportunity there, obviously. But if this is currently the only one that's still, this is former Roberta's, then that would effectively be now John's, but John might be, I don't know what John's status is as his tenure or his status going forward. So it's a question mark still.
Yeah. So that's all I would add is the school. That's really the sticking point right now is the school. And if anyone else wants to jump in there.
Would it be possible for two people to serve on it to lighten the load or to work together?
I mean, probably. This is not something where it's really hard and fast in stone. The only thing about it would be is that the coordination of those two people, then having that departmental outreach would be the real question. It might be easier to split this into effectively one person has the school and one person takes Southeastern Regional off his plate, if he keeps it, for instance. But even that, I don't know that Southeastern is all that dramatic of an engagement.
It's not, because Southeastern, they're obviously self-sufficient, and their budget is never, let's just say they're never in the red.
Right.
And there is one piece to one person, and that's having the tie to the superintendent and them having one person to interface with and not two. So it's probably a one-person job. But Christina, thanks for bringing it up. But I think for the face-to-face, it's probably a one person.
Yeah. Davis, do you have any interest in jumping from yours?
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely be happy to, if Tim is looking to maybe take a slightly less time-consuming load, I would definitely be interested in jumping on that one.
Yeah, I mean, he empowered me to say, it's up for grabs if somebody else wants it. So if you'd like to throw that in there, then absolutely. The other thing that I will say here, which is probably important, is that we don't have to represent this to anyone else. This isn't something that's a board representational thing that we have to then submit to the town clerk or anything. So we can absolutely say, you know what, hey, Davis is interested in taking on school. Let's have you and Tim have a sit down and discuss that and see if it is going to be something that's feasible, workload-wise, whatever it might be. And then that's perfect, because then we still have John's debt and interest, employee benefits, and other general government aspect that's outstanding. That if John does have the ability to rejoin us and can start attending meetings again on a regular basis, then obviously he can keep that one, and then you and Tim can just swap. What I'll do, let's make this easy. We've got Christina in role, so she has 3. This isn't something that's going to be dramatically necessary until towards the end of this year. So we're in good shape if we need to make a shift. And then Davis, I'll call it out. I'll say to Tim, hey, Davis is interested. Do you want to give it up? Like,
sure.
You really want to give it up, or was it just you were kind of thinking about it? And then we can have that conversation for the next meeting.
And that's definitely, I like the approach, because then I'm not putting words in Tim's mouth, and so that's.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to put words in people's mouths. That's fine. I'll shoulder that burden. It's fine. But yeah, so that way at least it's something where we have on paper, we have a good idea of exactly who's who and where they are. And then David, just remind me that if you do want to grab it, then absolutely we can make sure that we have that facilitation conversation with him.
All right, we'll do.
All right, so that's that one. Let me jump out of this one then.
Oh, and can we just, did you mention already that we won't even really be dealing with this until like kind of November, December-ish?
Yeah.
Once we get the go-ahead from Connor and he starts sending out the.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. So Christina, the one other thing here about this is that Connor has done a good job of having an outreach moment where he effectively reaches out to the different departments and says, hey, FYI, the finance committee would like to start interacting with you. We're just at the stage where the budget's starting to have some pieces to it. People are starting to look ahead and have an understanding of where it stands. And the finance committee is going to start calling on you and saying, hey, can we have a quick 30 minutes or whatever and discuss the various different pieces of this budget before it's fully set in stone.
Okay.
So he gives us the high sign. So it's not something where it's like you're going to be expected to be ready to go like tomorrow. It's something where once Connor says, hey, you have the go ahead, then you can set it up within your own schedule.
Okay.
Or before budgetary stuff starts to trickle in.
Okay.
Patrick, could you include me in that conversation around school? I feel like with 2 young kids in school, it's definitely something I'm very interested in. I'm nervous about the time commitment, but I don't know. I think that it's very important. So there's nothing set in stone, but in the conversation, make it a 3-way conversation instead. And
for school, I'll put Jen is interested, Davis is interested, and then we'll get Tim's read on where things stand. So we'll just bring that up as it'll be a one-off agenda item for the next meeting.
yeah, I need to just know a little more about what it would entail, just because with the school year in the horizon with 2 little ones, I don't know if we're going to be homeschooling or what. So it's going to be so time commitment is going to be a big question.
Yeah,
but
good point.
Hearing from Tim if it's manageable and kind of what he did month to month, I've been interested, but I'm nervous to take the plunge. But
Right.
it feels very important.
I to that point, I think it's a good point. When I talked to Tim earlier, when he said he's out of town doing something, so he's not able to be here tonight. But when I talked to him, he was like, "There's a lot to it," and I was like, "I'm willing to bet people might be a little gun shy of taking it until they have a chance to have a better understanding of it, just how much is there." So key point. So we'll do that for the next meeting. We'll have a deeper conversation about what that actually looks like. We can have Tim talk about it if he's able to attend, and then again, this is not something we have to report to anyone. This is our own internal alignment, so we can then make that decision at that point.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. All right. Where's my list of 40 things that we have to go through? Okay. Next up, we've got the reappointments. So, am I still sharing my screen? No, I'm not. This can go away. I'm a little scattered right now because I have 2 windows. So the next piece is from Danielle. We have essentially the wrap up of the new election is that we have to do appointments, right? Jamie, I reached out to Jane before the earlier meeting to say, is there any sort of appointment expiration that either or Jamie have to worry about? And she said, there's nothing on the books right now. So we'll just assume that you and I are still the 2 finance committee members that are appointed to the school for the school planning project because it's their decision. We can recommend appointees and then they make the choice. So it's not something that we have to cover tonight. Just FYI.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. So Danielle's note to me is effectively here's where we are. We have 4 open slots that we have to decide on tonight. These terms are effective from July 1st through June 30th. We're a little bit of in arrears today, but that's fine. Roberta actually reached out to me and said that there's a meeting for audit next week, I believe. So just to make sure that we had the appointment set up and ready to go. So the list of appointments that we have to decide tonight are the following. The audit committee has 1 representative. The budget subcommittee has 2, and the capital planning committee has 1. So this is a vote. This is an appointment vote. And then after the meeting, I will be sending some required documentation to Danielle to let her know of our choices. So the current setup is, as of now, audit was Roberta. The budget subcommittee is Mike and Jen, and capital planning is Davis. So the questions are, I thought from a standpoint of this is that we can talk about what those different subcommittees are associated with, what they're sort of set up to do, what the understanding of what it is that the workload is for those. And then we'll just ask anyone that's interested that wants to throw their hat in the ring, and we'll go through a vote on that from an appointment standpoint. The only one I don't know enough about, because the person that was on it isn't here anymore, is audit. Now, obviously, we did have the operational audit. The committee is working through that. That's the main push of this, and then subsequent audits that happen within town would be something that this committee would be associated with. I'm going to leave that one to the end, just because we have an open slate on that. I don't know if anyone has any interest. I'm going to start with budget. So who is interested in either staying on or throwing their hat in the ring to become one of the 2 appointees to the budget subcommittee?
I'm willing to stay on if anybody.
I would like to join.
Anybody wants to fight me for it, I will just cower in fear and back down.
Jen, are you interested in staying or no?
Yeah, I have interest in another subcommittee, so
Okay.
I'm going to say I'm comfortable with transitioning if someone's
Okay.
interested in this.
And then is there anyone else? Because if not, then we have 2 and we can just vote accordingly.
Understand, Jeremy, that part of this job, Jen did it very well, was making sure that I showed up on time to the meetings.
He's
Just-
he's not
so you know.
lying.
Those are not reasonable expectations.
No. He was only 6 minutes late to this one, so he's not too bad.
That's not too
You
bad.
don't have
It's
to
an
go
improvement.
there.
I mean, he doesn't leave his house, so that might help, but still. So anyone else interested in budget? Do we want, for Christina's sake, do we want to have a quick conversation about what budget subcommittee actually entails, just so she has an idea if she wants to be involved?
Yeah, Christina, the budget subcommittees are a pretty interesting group in town where there's representation from school committee, from select board, and from finance committee. When we get together with Connor and Wendy on a regular basis, much more so during budget season, to take a look at what the long-term structural budget priorities of the town ought to be. It's a little bit more, I'll call it freewheeling, just in the sense that we're not trying to solve the puzzle of a specific budget in a given year, but more looking at the long-term cost and revenue situation that the town faces.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So anyone else interested, or are these our 2 we're going to vote on tonight? Jamie, are you interested or are you leaving?
My office lights keep shutting off. I was trying to turn them back on. I'm not.
I wasn't
I'm
sure if
not
you were
interested.
volunteering or falling.
Yeah, I am not interested.
Christina, this is not what all meetings are like. We're not idiots all the time. That's amazing. Okay, so having said that, then I say we move to a. I don't think we have to have a. Do we have to motion and second for this, or is it just a standard voice vote? I think it's just a standard voice vote, which in this case is a roll call vote.
Should we motion in second just to be sure?
Actually, that's probably a good idea. So can I get a motion for the appointment to the budget subcommittee of both Mike DiPietro and Jeremy D'Amelio?
No move, Stebbins.
Sorry.
Evans is the move. I think Davis.
Yeah.
There you are. You slowed down.
Let's just kind of yell at the same time. So.
He's at slightly intoxicated speed.
Oh no.
You're like sort of at this. It's fine. You
It's
can
just
watch
the-
it later
it's
and
the
you can
dialogue.
how good it was for the rest of us. So let's go to a vote. So I'm just going to combine these 2 together because it's one appointment, so it's fine. Stebbins,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Napoli,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
D'Amelio. Of
Yes.
course, you're going to vote for yourself. And DiPietro.
Yes.
That's right. All right. Congratulations, gentlemen. You are now appointed to the budget subcommittee. I will submit
Thank you.
documentation for that. I don't know when it meets or anything about it. So, Mike, you're now the Jedi and he's the Padawan. So take it away.
Whoa.
I know. Congratulations. That's official. That's in town meeting minutes. You are now literally a Jedi. Congratulations.
I'll probably still text Jen about it.
Let's talk, right? So let's move on to capital planning. Davis, can you speak to what capital planning is? What I don't know if you can actually. This is amazing.
I can
That
try.
frozen face, you could not have frozen that on a better
Technical
expression.
limitations might get in the way.
Davis,
Oh my god.
Do you want to try to type
Hold
it?
on.
Can he turn off his video? Maybe that will help. Is that allowed?
I'm stopping his video for him.
Okay, thank you.
I'm stopping his video.
It's very generous. I think the problem is with my video and not the Wi-Fi connection in my house.
No, it affects it though.
It can, yeah, the video can actually can bleed you dry from how much connectivity you have. So I just shut it off for you. Not that we missed that amazing face you were making. So
Hey, can Davis dial in?
actually, yeah, Davis, if you want to dial in, we can still do all the voice vote stuff. I'm not sharing anything else at this point, so that's fine as well.
Yeah, hold on.
Do I have the details? Where's my agenda? Do you have that handy, or should I send it to you? Not that he can respond. I'm going to send it to him anyway. Let's see. Davis. All right. So we'll pause there. I pulled up audit just as a cheat sheet here. Effectively, it is exactly what I was saying before. Like this is something where it's responsible for the current audit, the operational audit that happens, the financial statements of the town, the sort of fine tooth. It's actually what we do, but a lot more fine tooth and a lot more of a deep dive on what the findings of that third party appointment have been. Currently, the people that are associated are there's 2 citizen representatives, a school committee representative, a select board representative, finance committee, and then the Wendy Nightingale, the finance director, is also involved. I wonder if there's any issue with him dialing in and me giving him access. I don't see another number in yet. So, all right.
Just hopping back in to say that it told me that the meeting number wasn't valid. So I think I'm just gonna try to make it work like.
We moved to audit, so if you can go just sit like next to your router for a hot second.
I'm pretty close to it already.
Oh, you sound a lot better. Strangely enough.
So, oh yeah.
So we're gonna do audit right now, and then if we'll come back to you for capital planning after. Does anyone have any interest in throwing their name in the hat for audit committee?
I do.
Oh, perfect. Does anyone else other than Jen? Nobody. No one wants it. All right. Jen, this should be a relatively straightforward one. Can I get a motion to appoint Jennifer Stacy as the representative? Can I get the sentence out, guys? Can I just say it? All those in favor: Stebbins.
Yes.
Healy.
Yes.
DiNapoli.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
D'Amelio.
No.
Did yours die?
Yes.
There
No,
it
I'm an idiot.
And DePietro.
Yes.
Congratulations, Jennifer. You are now on audit.
Thank you.
All right, so last up is capital planning. There's one seat open. Davis is the current resident of. Davis, do you have any interest in staying? Well, actually, sorry. First and foremost, can you explain roughly what's involved? It's a pretty straightforward one, and then tell us if you have any interest in maintaining.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're coming through.
Okay. Perfect. So basically, the capital planning committee is charged with reviewing requests for larger than $25,000. And so we're kind of similar in function to the finance committee in that our ultimate job is recommendation, but we have the added caveat that all the department heads bring their requests to us, and then we actually have to prioritize them. We create this huge long list basically that ranks 1 through however many, and Wendy and Connor decide the top X.
We had him he was doing so good. He was so close to the end.
It kind of was the end-ish.
Do I have a chat in here that I can? I don't know how to change it. Let me see. Davis, we lost you if you can hear us. He can't. Okay, so I don't know if he's interested in maintaining. Does anyone else have any interest in it? Okay. Tim has thrown his hat in the ring for this one. So Tim said to me earlier that he would like to be considered for this. So once Davis is able to rejoin and lets us know if he wants to continue on the capital planning committee, we can move to a motion for a vote to determine exactly who we're going to vote for. In this case, with more than one person, potentially more than one person against each other, we would have a voice vote, and you would say your, or I'll say your name, and then you say the name of the person you're voting for. Just checking on Davis. Wait, I have an email. Is that from them? No.
Can you hear me?
There you are.
Okay. Jeez.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Someone in your household is downloading seasons 7 through 12 of X-Files, and that's why you're not. So Davis, I asked before we lost you, I asked whether or not you have any interest in staying on. We do have one other person that is interested. Tim is interested in running for this as well. So I wasn't sure if you are throwing your hat in the ring to maintain.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely interested. I think, I mean, I'd love to talk to Tim about, you know, like if I would do schools, if he would do this, but do we need to like vote on it tonight?
We do have to appoint it tonight because it's something where we have to make, it has to be submitted to Danielle so that we have someone available for the next meeting, which whenever that might be.
Gotcha. Usually the first meeting isn't until like November-ish as well, just because no one really has their capital requests ready by that point.
That's a good point. I was asked to provide appointees for all these, though, unfortunately.
Sure. Okay. I mean, what I could do is I could just throw my hat in now, and then I'd be happy to talk to Tim, and then we can obviously just, I assume it would be easy enough to just swap our appointee, right?
Yeah, if we came back to it afterwards, and if for whatever reason it's, let's say you win tonight and then you decide to switch schools with Tim, we could probably do a reappointment without much problem. I think it's just something you have to go through you have to do the online swearing in and then be set up again, which would just be a voice vote like this again. I don't think there's any restrictions to it, but we can double check after the fact.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah. So I mean, for now, I'll definitely keep myself as a contender,
Okay.
Subject to the whims of the committee, of course.
We're very whimsical as a committee.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to open. So let's get a motion to vote for this, I guess, and then we'll do the voice vote on who they're voting for. To vote for, can I have a motion to vote for the appointee to the capital planning committee?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Steven, second.
All right. So I'm going to go to the list, and the name you will say is either Davis or Vamosi for your vote. Let me make a quick note here so I can capture. All right. Stebbins.
Davis.
Healy.
Sorry.
Abstain.
Sorry. You're abstaining. Okay. DiNapoli.
Davis, only one I know.
Stacy.
Davis.
Camilio.
Davis.
DePietro.
Davis.
I'm going to give Vamosi a vote just because I feel bad.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too, just like on principle, but
I just want to be clear. It's purely, I think that it makes sense for continuity. It's nothing about for any other reason. That's the line that fell here was Davis.
Oh yeah, and to be clear, Tim's entire point to me was he was like, if Davis doesn't want it, throw my hat in the ring, right? And so Davis did want it, so he might not even wanted to take it if Davis didn't, or if Davis was still running for it, but threw it out there as an option. So we'll keep that going. Congratulations, Mr. Davis. You are now still on the capital planning committee. So that is our 4 appointees for the night.
Now, just say one other point is because Davis had a good one. If he does sit down and talk with Tim and learns the scope of the school,
right?
Then maybe they do make that decision to make the change, and Tim, based on time, commitment alone. So
yeah, that would be a great swap if that was the case, because you can literally just do completely across the board and take on a bigger role.
Yeah, from what I understand of the school position, capital planning committee is probably much less of a commitment. So,
Right. Okay, so that's our appointees. That's all 4 of them, which leaves just the last piece, which is where did I put? There it is, which is our committee reorganization, the final committee reorganization, which is chair and vice chair. Currently, I am the chair and Davis is the vice chair. There's no rhyme or reason to why we are that. Personally, but so this is wide open. So anyone can obviously throw their hat in the ring, and then we'll do the same type of voice vote. You can get a new piece of paper so I can make sure I have it. So let's start with vice chair. Is anyone interested in running for vice chair?
do you want to just do chair first, Patrick, so that if anyone who becomes the chair,
Oh,
I
not
think
that
that
I
makes
expect
sense.
much changing, but
yeah, that's a good point. Either way works. All right, let's do chair first. So is anyone interested in throwing their hat in the ring for chair?
I nominate Patrick for.
I'm gonna throw Patrick's hat in the ring for him.
yeah.
You're so good at it.
I was hoping one of you would want it. Damn it. All right, so apparently it's me. And anyone else? Mike? Wait, can I nominate Mike?
Don't nominate Mike.
I mean, like if you truly deep in your soul don't want to do it because of the administrative slog, I would be happy to, but you're also really good at it, and I would rather have you as the chair.
All right, I'll take. All right, fine.
You
All
run
right.
a mean meeting, Patrick. So you run a mean meeting. Just roll with it.
I'm a jerk.
You're like Jon Snow, chosen for leadership that you don't really want.
Doesn't he die?
He comes back.
I don't want
Everyone dies.
Spoiler
He
alert.
gets
All right,
banished in the end.
that's now also a meeting minutes that
You're gonna get banished.
I'm gonna get kicked out. All right, so if I'm the only nominee, then we'll just do a voice vote after a motion. I don't think we need to have a motion on this.
Unless we all want to just throw Tim under the bus.
Surprise.
Anyone? No, let's not do that. All right, so can I have a motion to elect me as the chair again?
Motion to elect Patrick as the chair.
Second,
And Stebbins,
Stebbins, Helen,
Healy,
Davis, Helen,
DiNapoli,
Helen,
Stacy,
Stacy Helen.
Emilio,
Temelio Helen.
and Petro.
Yes.
Yes. All right, I'm back in.
yay!
All right, so then we've got vice, and for vice, so far Tim has told me he's interested,
I'm
and
interested.
Jen is interested. Is there anyone else that's interested in vice chair?
Tim is interested if it's title only and there's no extra work.
I didn't make Davis do a damn thing. I did it all myself because I was so desperately unknown of what I was supposed to be doing. So I'm probably going to keep that as well. So
The only real extra work was texting Patrick and being like, "Hey, did you do this?" And Patrick being like, "Yeah," and being like, "Okay, cool."
Okay, that's too much commitment. I'm taking my hat out of the ring.
But in the absence of Patrick, you would also have to lead a meeting.
Yes, that is a good point.
yeah, but it's COVID. So unless the roof caved in,
It is
my
2020,
Wi-Fi's
so
out.
anything could happen.
Exactly. This is not the year to tempt fate.
Seriously.
Right underneath it, sir. All right, so we've got Tim, we've got Jennifer. Is there anyone else? No? Yes, no, maybe? Going once, going twice. Okay. So we'll do the same thing we did when we had the 2 names for capital planning. We will do a motion and a second, and then we'll just go down the list and just do a voice vote.
Do we talk or debate in any way?
We can if we want to, sure. Tim's not here.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, this is light stuff. I don't know how much of a debate we really need on it. Like,
It's a good problem when people want to be over involved.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's something where the actual committee sort of responsibilities are heavy during budget season. It's setting up agendas. It's doing this type of thing where you've got a bunch of different sort of pieces, of documentation you have to fill out. it's not dramatic, either chair or vice chair. So, but if you have questions, we're open to discuss.
No, I don't have anything in particular. I just feel weird having two people and no debate, but I don't have any form of debate. So I
Banana
was just curious if anyone else did.
I'm glad we
Well, if
discussed
Tim
it.
was here, I'm sure the gloves would come off and he and Jen would duke it out. So.
Like the nicest person in the world.
he's at your front door right now. That's
He
Okay,
might be
so-
the nicest person on the committee, I will say.
Yeah? I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
This guy alive.
He
I do love you,
mentioned
Mike, but.
he mentioned something about Tanya Harding to me last week.
Ooh, that's fire.
Wow.
Jeremy, that was a person that several years ago was in the Olympics.
Wow.
And got hit.
Wow.
I'll tell you later. It's not important.
I've seen Blades of Glory.
Several years ago, like
Probably your age. This is amazing. Okay, so enough joking. So we've got two candidates. Can I get a motion to vote?
Motion to vote.
That'll work. Second.
second.
Okay.
I don't know if we need that, but good point, Jeremy, to cover our bases here. So I'm going to go down the list again and just give me the name of the person you're voting for, Jennifer or Tim. Stebbins.
Stebbins, Stacy.
Healy.
Healy, Stacy.
DiNapoli.
Stacy.
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 Your wedding card. Melio.
Tamelio Stacy.
And DePietro.
Pedro Stacy.
And I'm voting for Stacy. Congratulations, Jen.
Thanks, guys.
Ooh, yay.
All right, so that's reorganization, that's committee pieces, that's subcommittees. We did the town meeting. We do not have meeting minutes. So we're at committee member comments. Questions, thoughts, anything. Christina, this has been a whirlwind, so I'm willing to open it up to ask any questions you have, anything like expectations, what this is. It's not usually a joke fest, usually because they don't let me speak this much.
Well,
So
we're very lighthearted, so it was actually kind of welcoming. I'm looking forward to the next meeting. I'm actually looking forward to the first in-person meeting.
that is a very good point. I am as well. Jamie just ran out to turn his lights back on. So are there any other pieces that we have to cover tonight? Anything that anyone wants to bring up? Any subsequent asks, questions, etc.? The only other thing I'm thinking of from a committee member comment piece was Jamie and I were just in the latest school planning meeting. I don't know if Jamie, I didn't prepare any notes to bring in here. I figured we could do that on the next meeting itself. But if you have anything back mapped that you'd like to share, we could do that as well.
No, I think just to let everyone here know, we're approaching the 60% mark on basically authorizing all the work that we're, so it's 60% of the proposed budget being cleared through the MSBA. And there are some things that are hanging in the balance based on where our budget comes in, right? So we're kind of hoping there's some money there because there's some parking lot work that is very important. It's important from not only a traffic flows standpoint, but also a safety standpoint with children and cars, and how we're going to kind of maintain, not lose any parking spaces to this new pattern. So I think it's very important, and we're all kind of keeping our fingers crossed that the money is there, and we don't have to, obviously in this environment, look for any other money any other place other than what we've already budgeted. So that's really all I had. That was kind of the big piece of the night.
Yeah, that's really the only thing I was thinking of. It might be a good update. And just FYI, everybody, since those meetings they're not dramatically long, and because it's no longer something you obviously have to go in person, if anyone does have an interest in it, it is a pretty valuable meeting to see sort of how the sausage is made when it comes to this program. The attendee list is impressive, and the presentations are pretty well put together. We had an amazing presentation tonight, though. I will say this.
Actually, would you speak to that a little bit?
This is really good. A group of OA students actually did a presentation on what the interiors and sort of what the interior experience could be for the schools, and making it very much in line with the Bland James theme and some of the different pieces of Easton's experience. I highly recommend, even if you don't watch the rest of the meeting where Jamie and I sort of stare off into space and answer questions occasionally, the first like 15 minutes of the meeting is delightful because these kids come in and effectively are like, here's what we think we should do for an interactive design of a fountain. And the reason why it's a fountain is because of this tie back to Easton's past. And here's what we should do for murals on the ceiling of the different sections of the school based on the designs that we've already sort of pre-approved. It was great. And they're like, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. And I was blown away. Their presentation skills make the thing that I do for a job look awful. They were amazing at it. So they're gonna replace me pretty soon. But if you guys have a few minutes, when that's posted on ECAT, I definitely highly recommend you go check it out. And it's just really interesting to think about how all the different interconnected pieces they came together of like Easton's past, Easton's people that obviously are connected to the Ames name, and then things like the nature in this town. It was really good. That's my pitch.
Yeah, well worth the 10, 15 minutes to watch their presentation, and very inspiring. And not only did they take an artistic approach, but a pragmatic one, and one thinking about children at that age and how they would interact with the environment. And there is, along with the indoor, that whole fountain piece. So there is an outdoor sensory garden, phenomenal. These kids just absolutely hit it out of the park, and you all would benefit from listening. And I think, like me, knowing that there's hope for the future when you hear kids like this, and you want to hire them on the spot, as Patrick and I both tried to do.
Yeah, we both try to get resumes immediately afterwards. All right, so that's the small subcommittee update. Does anyone else have any business or information to share?
I
Is
have
it a
one
quick
quick
question? Oh, Davis?
You can go ahead, Jeremy.
Do we know roughly when our next meeting's going to be?
Do we know? I'm sorry, say it again.
Roughly when our next meeting is going to be?
It's a good question. No, it's not something that we have anything burning up right now because usually the summers are pretty dead. Summer meetings typically are upon need, and then typically we kick back in right towards the end of summer, beginning of September. We're kind of school year based effectively. So it's nothing that I've scheduled or thought to schedule yet. The reason why we put this one out there was because we had the reorganization, and then it just so happened this second piece came up.
Thank you.
Yep, good question. Davis, do you have one?
Actually, just to go off that real quickly, do you know if it might be different this year than past years just because of all the everything that's happening?
Oh, that's a good
with how much we're in flux with the budget?
I don't know. I've not received any communication on any sort of like subsequent changes or shifts in how the budget's going to be done. There very well might be something that comes out of this constant process of where we stand with this gap, but nothing has been sent to me. It's something that I will make sure to give you guys long lead times because obviously vacations and things like that might make this a little bit more difficult. The other thing that's good though, and this is actually, thank you for mentioning it because you reminded me of it, is that because we're at the beginning of a fiscal year, chances are there's nothing that's really too time dependent that we have to go through and vote on unless we're talking about right around town meeting time. So we've probably got a pretty decent runway, but if something does come up, I'll make sure to give you guys a lot of fair warning.
Cool. Jen, those are the kinds of cues that you're going to have to give Patrick now.
I was supposed to ask that question too when you asked it. So
okay. Thanks for voting me in, Turks. There we go.
Hey, you know what? I just have a new profound respect for Davis because I had no idea he was just throwing the softballs up for you to keep on track. Well done, Davis.
I'm the one with the marionette strings, don't you know, Jamie?
He's the marionette. That's what it is. This chair has all the power. I'm just the pretty face. No.
Yes. Oh yeah. We'll say that. My comment was that there's currently a vacancy on the capital planning committee for one of the regular appointed spots. So go tell your friends. We truly just need a person.
Is it a citizen appointment?
I think it's.
Let me look. I had it open a second.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the select board, but it's an appointment slot. There's all the details about how to apply online when you go look it up.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Anybody else? Anything else? With that, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I need a second.
Second.
And Sevens.
Yes.
Healy.
Yes.
DiNapoli.
Yes.
Good job on your first meeting.
Thank you.
Stacy.
Yes.
Camilio.
Yes.
And Petro.
Yes.
And me is a yes. We are done, everybody. Thank you so much. Congratulations
Yeah.
on your role.
Good night.
We will see you all soon. Have a good night.
Bye.
Take care.